Hi, thanks for joining us today on Shining Stars in South Florida Business. I'm your host, Danny Poulos, and our very special guest today is Mike Holbrook. He's with Keller Williams Palm Beaches, and his slogan is Mike Gets You Moving, and you're going to find out why. And he's got an interesting story how he even got involved in real estate. So, Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Tell everybody how this whole thing got started for you.
A long time ago, I actually came to real estate from a radio background. I was in radio for almost 30 years. I started when I was 15 years old.
Really?
At a high school radio station. And started to go to college, and I said, nah, this really isn't for me. Then I went into the military, and I worked at the military radio stations. And then I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. And I just woke up one morning and I said, you know what, it's now or never. So I basically made an audition tape and I started knocking on doors and trying to get my big break. Finally, a guy called me, a program director at WAPE, which was a huge station in Jacksonville. And he said, I heard your tape, and he goes, this is what you're doing wrong. Make me another tape. So I made another tape, and this went on for a while. And then finally he called and he goes, you want a job? And I go, yeah.
That's what it was all about, right?
Exactly. That's what I wanted. So he said, there was nothing wrong with your first tape, but I wanted to see how dedicated you were. So, and I would have made 100 tapes at that time, but it worked out. So then I went in radio and I traveled all around the country doing radio shows and finally got down here. And one morning I just woke up because I was getting up at like 3:30 every morning. And I just go, you know, this just isn't fun anymore.
I would have had to quit on that a little sooner than you did.
Oh, yeah. So I said, you know, this just isn't fun anymore. So a friend of mine at the time who was in real estate says, why don't you come into real estate? And I said, no. And then the more I thought about it, the tireder I got, and I go, yeah, maybe I will. So that was about 14, 15 years ago.
Oh, geez.
And I got my license, and honestly, other than radio, I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Right.
I mean, I loved it.
I guess the real easy part of that transition is the most important thing in real estate is really being a communicator.
Exactly.
And that's what you had down, and you just took it into real estate. But you've taken it way beyond just communicating.
Right.
So Mike Gets You Moving has how many websites now?
I have actually about 10 websites. One of them is MikeGetsYouMoving.com. I have a few others. Mike is MrRoyalPalmBeach.com. Mike is MrLoxahatchee.com. Mike is MrLakeWorth.com.
So the point I want everyone to understand is because you've managed to target different geographical regions, because real estate searches are pretty local.
Exactly.
So you've set up separate websites for each area that you service.
Right, and each, one of those separate websites, is pretty much just based on that local area.
Right.
And, basically that's what I want to communicate to them.
So if someone's looking in Royal Palm, they're going to end up on your Royal Palm website and not be looking at properties, 50 miles away. They're going to be looking at Royal Palm.
That is correct.
So what's different about the way they can search on your websites than if they go to Trulia, one of those other great
basically,
websites?
My websites is basically like a backdoor to the MLS. And what the MLS is what realtors use to search for property for their clients. So I'm kind of giving them, which I pay a lot of money for, I'm giving them a freebie, where they can actually go on my websites and search for the most up-to-date properties versus some of the other websites that really aren't kept up to date.
Right, and not only not kept up to date, but a lot of it is income driven, what they see and what they're drawn to.
Exactly.
If they're hooked right up to the MLS, they're seeing everything that every agent is seeing, right?
That is correct.
And are they able to modify their searches as they go, the way you do when you do it?
They can actually, absolutely. They can modify their searches. They may not want an HOA. They may want a certain amount of land, so on and so forth. So yeah, they can, change everything around to what they're looking for specifically.
So that's for the do-it-yourselfer, but if they're not, I mean, they'll find you based on the area that they're looking in, and
Right.
you would be doing those searches for them.
Exactly. They can call me, contact me, however, and let me know this is what I'm looking for. Can you save me a search? Absolutely. And then I would save them a search, and every time a new property that met their criteria hit the
Right.
market, it would be sent out to them in their email, so they'd get it just like that.
And it's important that people know when you're the buyer in a transaction, all these services that Mike gives you, they don't cost you anything.
No, it's free.
Right. So everyone thinks, well, I'm going to do it myself because I don't want to have to communicate back and forth and wait for call. You save a lot of time by actually talking to you because you know what's coming up. You know the
Exactly.
area already. You can't make yourself a realtor overnight and figure out what you really want to be looking for on MLS. So
Right.
have fun on there, but at the end of the day, you want to be dialing your number and talking to a real person.
Exactly.
And you can end up you can end up directing them to the right place anyway.
Right. Yep.
Tell everybody the best way to reach you. Obviously, they can find you in 10 different websites.
10
How
different
else?
websites. You can email me at mikegetyomoving@gmail.com. You can call me at 561-632-1828.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Mike does get you moving. He's a shining star in South Florida business.